Is it better to learn how to flat pattern cut first or drape on the stand to create your own sewing patterns? So first of all, let's get clear on what draping on the stand is and what flat pattern cutting is so that you can then really understand what I'm talking about in this video. So flat pattern cutting is where you are using pattern cutting blocks like these kind of blocks here. These are baby wear ones, so super small, to then use as templates to create your own sewing patterns. You're then going about various different drafting techniques to add pleats, gathers, button stands, plackets, all the things to create the designs you want to create. And the beauty of it is you then end up with basically a stencil to then cut out in your final fabrics to then make up the garments you are then wanting to create. Like this puffer jacket I've half made right now for my little 1-year-old son. Whereas draping, on the other hand, what you're doing is you are directly using a fabric like calico, like something like this, a cheap fabric, to test out your designs on the stand, otherwise known as a mannequin. So what you're doing is you're literally pinning your fabric on there and you're manipulating it directly on the stand to create your garments. Now, the beauty of draping on the stand is the fact that you can see exactly or almost exactly what your garment is going to look like there and then, because you're literally pinning in those gathers, those tucks, those design features. So you'll be able to see how it works and how it's going to look instantly, as that is what you're creating. But here is the thing. You have this fabric pinned on the stand, this cheap calico fabric pinned on the stand. But you need to take that off and you need to then cut something out of your final fabric to turn into the garment you want to actually wear. So that means turning that piece of fabric into an actual sewing pattern. So you really need to have the basics of flat pattern cutting so that you can turn what you've draped on the stand into a pattern that you can then cut out of the final fabric. So yes, draping on the stand is a super valuable skill, and it's so handy to really visualize what you're creating. But my recommendation is you need to know at least the basics of flat pattern cutting to be able to translate what you've draped on the stand into a sewing pattern that you can actually use, and you can use it multiple times over, and it's going to be a lot more precise than you draping on the stand. That end result is going to have a lot neater finish than even if you drape your final fabric on the stand and then you turn that into, and then you start sewing that by hand on the stand. Flat pattern cutting gives that precision that's going to create luxury looks. Building a solid foundation of pattern cutting does not need to take long at all. You can literally learn the skills in a weekend or across a few evenings. What you want to be learning is, first of all, what tools you need and how to use them to create your sewing patterns and how to speed up that process, because those tools are going to work with you. You want to then understand how blocks work, like these blocks here, so how to actually use them as your templates. And then we want to know how to manipulate darts so they're not getting in the way of your designs. So how to pivot them and slash them are the first primary ways to be able to manipulate them to work for you. And then you want to go on to learning a few different design features, like how to add style lines, how to add tucks, gathers, pleats, those kind of things, so you can start creating those design features you really want to create to turn those designs into reality. And then lastly, you want to really understand how to turn those patterns into workable sewing patterns. So what I mean by that is how to add your seam allowance, your hem allowances, and annotations, so you're actually going to know what that random piece of paper is going to do and how to make it work for the clothes you want to create. This is exactly what I show you in my Fundamentals of Pattern Cutting mini course, an online self-paced mini course where you can build the solid foundation of the pattern cutting skills you need to know to start creating your own sewing patterns. I will share a link below so you can find out more and see if this is for you. And if you decide as well you want to learn how to drape too, you'll see when you go to the checkout you can then purchase the draping mini course as well. So you'll be able to combine all these skills together like I've been talking about to bring your ideas to life.